our Declaration of Independence. The Declaration is the most important document as far as I'm concerned in the world. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men. The reason we have government is to protect our individual rights. That's what the Declaration is saying. We need laws to protect our individual rights, not to protect the government, to protect each other, from each other. I want to play you a little clip about how that Declaration came about. It's providence, it's divine, it's just simple bad luck, good luck, a incident that happened in the halls of Freedom Hall there in Philadelphia.
Oh, good God, why can't you acknowledge what already exists?
John Adams.
It has been more than a year since conquered Lexington. Damn it, man, we're at war! Right now! You!
Thomas Jefferson.
You, Boston and John Adams! You and your Pennsylvania proprietors, oh, you cool, considerate men. You hang to the rear on every issue, so that if we should go under, you'll still remain afloat.
Are you calling me a coward?
Yes, coward.
Madman?
Landlord?
Lawyer?
The halls of Congress, I only kind of wish we could go back.
Who thinks of Congress? Stop it, I say! The enemy's out there!
No, Mr. Rugby, the enemy is here!
No! I say he's out there! England!
They are debating independence at this time. The colony is split 6-6, with New York never making a vote during the colonial time. And with Caesar Rodney gone, Delaware will now vote with the people who do not want independence. They move the question, if you're familiar with parliamentary procedure.
George Wilson! Oh my God. Delaware seconds, Mr. President.
And John Dickinson from Pennsylvania, who is not for independence. John Dickinson wants to remain. He's proud of his English heritage. He's proud of Magna Carta. He's proud of Shakespeare. He's proud of Plantagenet. He's proud of the Battle of Hastings. John Dickinson has just moved the question to vote on independence. Now, New Hampshire's shown up, is going to sway it again. So John Dickinson proposes that it has to be unanimous. All 13 colonies must vote for independence. It's an interesting little part of history here. That's what I wanted you to see tonight.
One must be, on what grounds? That no colony be torn from its mother country without its own consent. Here, here.
It will never be unanimous, damn it.
If you say so, Mr. Adams.
It has been moved and seconded that the vote on independence must be unanimous in order to carry. All those in favor signify by saying yea. Yea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 6 colonies say yea. Against? Yea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 colonies say nay.
Mr. Secretary, New York abstained. Courteous, Mr. Wallace. Why does New York constantly abstain? Why does New York simply stay in New York?
Very well, the vote is tied. The principles of
John
independence
Hancock.
have no greater advocate in Congress than its president. That is why I must join those who vote for unanimity.
Good God, John, what are you doing? You've sunk on. Now, hear me out. Don't you see that any colony who opposes independence will be forced to fight on the side of England? That we'll be sitting brother against brother. That our new nation will carry as its emblem the mark of Cain.
Again, references to the biblical
See no
mark
other
of
way.
Cain.
Either we all walk together, or together we must stay where we are. Mr. Massachusetts.
Very well, proceed, Mr. Thompson. A unanimous vote being necessary to carry, if any be opposed to the resolution on independence, as proposed by the colony of Virginia, signify by...
Mr. President.
Oh, for heaven's sake, let me get through at once.
Mr. President. I move for a postponement.
Postponement? I wish you the same luck I had with it.
Mr. Adams is right. We need a postponement.
On what grounds?
On what grounds?
Mr. President, how can this Congress vote on independence without a written declaration of some sort defining it?
What sort of declaration?
Well, you know, listing the reasons for the separation, our purposes, goals, so forth, so on. Ditto, etc., etc.
We know those, don't we?
Oh, yes, good God, we know. But what about the rest of the world? Certainly, we require the assistance of a powerful nation, such as France or Spain, and such a written declaration would be consistent with European delicacy.
Come now, Mr. Adams. You'll have to do better than that. Answer straight. What would be its purpose?
Yes. Well,
Place before mankind the common sense of the subject in terms so plain and firm as to command their assent.
To place before mankind the common sense of the subject in terms so plain as to command their assent. To write it out for the world to see. Again, go back to Hammurabi, to place it before people that people may read it and understand it. These gentlemen in Congress came up with the idea to write the Declaration and keep it simple so that all people can understand it. I submit to you that the document that comes out 1776, 11 years later, is that same simple language, common sense. Because of these men and the Constitutional Convention that will come later, they knew what they wanted to say. They debated it, they argued it, they deleted it, they addendumed it, they made it what they wanted it to say in terms so clear as to command their assent. You cannot read this document and say, what a bunch of garbage. No, this thing is incredible. I've had this thing, coffee stains, highlighted, underlined. I've had this thing 30 years or so, and I continually reference it. It is that important of a document, based upon the principles of all men are created equal, endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, and to secure the rights, governments are instituted among men. Right after they decide to write the Constitution, they vote that a declaration is necessary. They form a committee to write the Declaration. They believe John Adams should write it. He's the lawyer. He's the one with the mind that should write it. But John Adams continually says, and he says, I'm obnoxious and disliked. John Adams was asked in 1822 by a young man named Timothy Pickering, how did Jefferson get picked to write it? This young man's in history class. He's wondering why Thomas Jefferson was picked to write the Declaration. Adams replies to him, the subcommittee met. Jefferson proposed to me to make the draft. I said, I will not. Jefferson says, you should do it. Oh no, why will you not? You ought to do it. I will not. Why? Reason enough. What can be your reasons? Adams responds to Jefferson, reason first. You are a Virginian, and a Virginian ought to appear at the head of the business. Virginia was the one who proposed independence, so a Virginian should be the one writing the draft. Reason second, I am obnoxious, suspected, and unpopular. You are very much otherwise. Reason third, you can write 10 times better than I can. Adams is honest with himself, and this is what we lack so much in today's world, that honesty. I'm obnoxious. People are not going to agree with me simply because I don't say it in the right frame of mind, with a smile on my face and my arm around a person. They're still speaking the truth, but Jefferson had, and the words of Adams, Jefferson had a felicity of expression, a happiness when he writes. And when you read Jefferson's writings, yeah, there's just an incredible lilt, just happiness to his writing. I teach the Constitution coming from the Declaration.